What's up, my SLPs, my SLPs to be, and my SLPAs? I hope you all are doing amazing. Today, I want to talk about how I review evaluation information reports with parents, okay, or caregivers or loved ones or guardians, okay? But before I do that, I want to give you a quick story. I went to the doctor one day and I wanted a full panel workup, and so they draw blood and they do all that. And then some days later, they call you back and they review everything with you. And so the doctor was saying, hey, your A1C is here, your cholesterol is there, your blood sugar's here, your red blood cells are here, your white blood cells are there, all these different numbers. And at the end of all of that, all I really wanted to know was, am I okay? Is it normal? Is it within what should be expected for my age? Okay? Story number one, that was that. Story number two, I was in graduate school. And the professor was teaching some new information. And at the end of it, she asked a question and said, what questions do you all have to the class? Nobody moved, made a peep, nothing. Then she asked, are you so confused that you don't even know what question to ask? Ding, ding, ding. Right. So those two stories, wanting to know, is it normal? Am I in the average range? And being so confused that you don't even know what questions to ask. I think about those things when I'm reviewing information with loved ones, parents, caregivers, particularly in the schools, okay? So when I'm calling parents, I keep it simple and I do my best to keep it short. I try to keep it under 3 minutes when I'm reviewing evaluation information with them, particularly on my part. Now, the conversation itself may go longer because parents may have questions, which is great and which is welcome. But if it's just me doing a monologue about how they did on their evaluation, I keep it to 3 minutes or less. So I say, hey, I gave a language test, whichever language test I use. Let's just say the CELF-5, which is the Clinical Evaluation of Language Fundamentals, 5th edition. And I say scores between 85 and 115 are within their average range. Anything falling at 77 or below is cause for concern for a language disorder. And so I might go into the 3 subtests, right? So let's say it's the self pre-K self pre-K 3 instead of the CELF-5. I'll say, well, look, we went over sentence comprehension. That was one of the subtests. We went over word structure, and then we also went over expressive vocabulary. Those are the 3 subtests that make up that overall score. Your child scored 106, which is within the average range. So right then and there, I framed it. Parents know between 85 and 115, that's average. I've told them that. Anything lower than that, 77 or below, we got a problem. 106, they're within the average range. Okay, so I've answered that question. All right, if I've done articulation exam or articulation assessment, it's the same thing. I tell them what articulation assessment I gave the child, review that information. If there are any errors, I review that with them and I let them know that's developmentally appropriate. Your child is 4, not quite able to say 100% correctly, that's to be expected, okay? It's developmentally appropriate. That's what I do. And that's how I'm able to have parents also ask better questions because it's quicker, it's to the point, and it's not a whole slew of information, okay? They also have the report. They're also able to, if they're not in the car or they're at a computer or on their phone parked somewhere, they can review that information with me as we go through. But generally, a lot of the parents I call, they're either on lunch break or they're in the car, kids in the background yelling. So I try to keep it quick and simple, okay? So those are my tips for when I review evaluation information. But what do you do? How do you do it? How long do you think you go? It doesn't make you any better or any worse if you go longer or shorter. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you go 10 minutes in? Do you review for 10 minutes? Do you go for 30? Do you go for 1 minute or less? Do you even call them? Or do you just show up at the meeting? It's up to you. There's no really right or wrong way to do it as long as the parents are able to, as long as you're able to speak to the parents, all right? So leave a comment below. Also like and subscribe. And once again, this is KG, the SLP, and I hope you continue to have a fantastic day and a fantastic week. Till next time.